Those who can do. Those who can't, talk about those who can. Now, can you or can you not? You just want to sit on the sideline and talk about other people, or can you stay?
Ooh, boy. Ah. Good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. Wake up, good people. Hope everybody's having a great day. It is Taco Tuesday, and I hope all your taco dreams come true. No tacos for me. No tacos. In fact, nothing for me except a liquid diet, because tomorrow we're going to have our colonoscopy. That's right. We almost had one Sunday afternoon against the Giants, but that's a whole different thing. Now, I got to say, you can't make this kind of shit up, literally. I was laying in bed this morning with my beautiful bride of 20 some odd years, and all of a sudden, I hear a jackhammer. Like, what the hell's going on? Open up my window and look out the street. And the water department is jackhammering the street to cut off the water to change part of the pipe. So the water, they say it's going to be cut off sometime today for a while they're working on this. On the absolute positive worst day that it can happen. And if you've never had a colonoscopy, trust me, you don't want the water not to be working. Trust me, because you have to take Dulcolax and Miralax, and you literally have to take a whole bottle of Miralax and mix it with 64 ounces of sugar-free drink. And they say get it cold, because then it goes down a little easier. So after you take the Dulcolax tablets at noon, come 4 o'clock, you're drinking 8 ounces of liquid death every 15 minutes till it's all gone. And what it feels like, I would imagine, is if I took a fireman's hose and put it down my throat and turned it on. That's the experience that you have coming out the other end. And so water is a necessity on a day like today. I can't even believe, I'm sorry to be talking about this kind of stuff, but it's really important for you and you and you and you and you and everyone to get their colon checked, preferably when they're not turning off the water with a colonoscopy, because colorectal cancer is a mother humper. Something very preventable, something very easy to treat if caught early. So that's going to be my day today. In the meantime, I have to say this is going to be a big, big miss on the offensive line. You know, we always talk about, the quarterback choked, or, he sucks, this, that, and the other. But most people, when they watch football, and I actually want you to, if you have NFL Plus or things, where you can actually go back and watch the game film, the coach's film and stuff. Pay attention when you watch a football game. Don't just watch the quarterback get the ball and go back. Watch the offensive line. Watch the defensive line. That's where the real battles actually go. One thing that always bothered me playing football was they would always say the skilled positions, the wide receiver, the running back, the quarterback, as in, if you don't have any skills, you're a lineman. You're just the leftovers. You're unskilled. But nothing can be further from the truth. When you think about the complexity of the defensive schemes and the showing stuff, not showing stuff, pre-snap motion and things, the calls at the lines, the change of protection, the center is literally the nerve center of everything that you do. And in football, it only takes one guy to mess up in order to have a play just go awry. And that's the truth. Sometimes you have guys who help and make up for others' mistakes. And here is one. I hope I don't get copywritten for this, but this is Cooper Beebe. Cooper Beebe helps take 3 defensive linemen out of the play. Now, you probably watched the play and you see Dak Prescott deliver a bullet on the pass. If it's not for Cooper Beebe literally affecting 3 defensive linemen, this play does not happen. And we all say, Dak choked. Let's look at this here. Okay? All right. Cowboys break the huddle. Of course. Cooper Beebe is the center. Okay? Right there. Okay? What he's going to do is he's going to help Tyler Booker first, right here. They're going to double team his man. He's going to basically give him, boom, the right hand to help push him out off of balance. Okay? All right? Ball is snapped. You see? I forgot, I got my arrow here. See, he's right here. He's pushing that guy, getting him off balance. And see, this is play action, right? By play action, this means it's meant to look like it's a run play, okay? So what happens here, because it is play action, you see the linebacker is following the flow up here. They're biting to get upfield to stop the run because Javonte Williams has been having a great game, okay? So let's go a little further. All right? So now Dak is setting up the pass. And what happens is Cooper Beebe, who is right here, Cooper Beebe is right here. He knows that guy is made. He's coming over to check the backside. And he realizes, oh, shit, this guy is now a free rusher because Tyler Smith has gone down inside blocking. Right? If Cooper Beebe does not get this guy, Dak Prescott is jacked up, okay? Not only that, we see the blitzer coming out here. And look what Cooper Beebe does. I don't know if Cooper Beebe right here has got his head on the inside, if he sees that guy, but watch what he does. He pushes them into the other guy. Now, what you watched is you watched the catch. You watched Dak Prescott throw, but you missed Cooper Beebe helping down inside, doing a 180, and then taking 2 guys out of the play. Watch it again in real time. This is the kind of stuff that you miss if you only follow the quarterback. Boom, inside, turn around, get this guy, and push them both out of the way. And then Dak can deliver a strike to CeeDee Lamb. And unfortunately, he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. And that is going to be hard. But see, here's the thing about football. And we can't cry about injuries, even though last year we were second most in missed time of players, of starting players. We had a lot of injuries last year, and we're seeing, of course, Justin Fields got a concussion, Jaden Daniels, a sprained knee, he might be in doubt. JJ McCarthy is going to miss probably 4 games. Joe Burrow is out. There's a lot of players, and that's just quarterbacks that are hurting. Everybody has players get hurt, and it's part of the game. The problem for the Cowboys is, in the past, we have great starters. But when we lose those starters, the next level is usually not good. The cupboard's bare. You've been kind of like playing craps, and you have no backup. And you crap out when you lose a starter. Fortunately, we have Brock Hoffman, who's played center, who was last year actually fighting it out for the starting role, who this year, some people thought he might be able to be the starter before we drafted Tyler Booker. So you have a good player there. I don't know that he is going to be as good as a much underrated Cooper Beebe. Cooper Beebe is an extremely good player, and he will be missed on the offensive line until he comes back. Now, two things that we were terrible with last year and that have been Achilles' heel. Now, you can talk about how Pro Football Focus says that Diggs gave up 104 yards when targeted and things like that. I think some of that was blown coverage. He's supposed to get help. But you also have to look at it. If he did, he's a guy just a few weeks ago, we were saying we were hoping that he might be able to play by the end of September. And he's been thrown into the fire off of a knee injury immediately. You know, you don't have somebody who has microfracture surgery less than a year ago. Now, all of a sudden, who didn't have training camp, now all of a sudden is playing 60 snaps. That's a tall task to have, and not having Deron Bland. So I'm not going to blame Diggs on that. That's when the team should have recognized, well, the safeties needed to be there to help out on those coverages and things. So that's a different ball of wax. But two things that we were terrible with last year is running the football and stopping the run. I'm proud to say that the Cowboys, and rushing TDs, I'm proud to say that the Cowboys have 3 rushing TDs already this year. 4 rushing TDs this year, which actually ranks them 3rd in the NFL. I know it's still early in the season, but I'm believing that 4. I don't think we had more than 5 rushing TDs all last year. So the fact that you got 4 to start the season is great. So right now, yard average, surprisingly, first 2 games, going against an Eagles defense that's considered pretty good, although they didn't have Jalen Carter, and a Giants defense where everybody talks about their front 7. The fact that you are averaging 5.1 yards per run is huge. That ranks 7th in the NFL, 3rd in rushing TDs, and 11 in yardage. That's a good turnaround. Now, defensively, I'm not going to say that it's great by any stretch of the imagination, but there has been improvement in stopping the run. You have to realize that the Eagles were the best rushing team in football. You faced them week number 1. Giants didn't do much against the Commanders on the ground and so on. So, this isn't a great survey. You had one team that's great and one team that's not. So it should be somewhere in the middle. But at the moment, per carry, yard average, giving up, you're middle of the road at 15. It's not great, but in comparison to 32 last year, that's a marked improvement right there. What we need to get more takeaways is what we need. We only have 1 interception thus far. As far as yardage goes, we're 23rd. Attempts-wise, they're 26th. So they're doing better at stopping the run. Secondary, they got to get their shit together. So there are some signs of life there that you feel good about. And Javonte Williams, crazy to think that we actually have right now, he is averaging 4.6 yards a carry. Bro, we haven't seen anybody doing that for a while here. Tony Pollard didn't do it his last year here. Zeke Elliott hasn't done that in forever. And so if we're able to do that against 2 good defensive fronts, we can make some hay. And ultimately, Brian Schottenheimer, who said, we want to be able to run the football. Unlike Mike McCarthy, I want to run the football, and then proceeds to throw the ball 65% of the time, is bullshit. But Shotty is exactly what he said he's going to be. And so when you have that situation, when you're able to run the football, that play action works. But that play action doesn't work if you don't have guys who can take care of blocking. And Cooper Beebe, when you see some of the plays that he makes and the way he knocks people around, man, it's just like Weebles. It just knocks them on over. It's incredible. But play action doesn't work if you don't have somebody who can run the football. And this is where the Cowboys offense is seemingly clicking really, really well thus far, averaging 30 points a game. The other great thing is when you got a kicker like Brandon Aubrey, who was originally a soccer player, drafted by Major League Soccer, and was not doing really well. He's an engineer, so he's working mostly on engineering, And his wife was watching football and watching kickers miss. And she's like, honey, you can do that. We can figure this shit out. And so he started, has his, working as engineer as a day, kicker by night. And now, it's still early in his career, but the fact that he's got 2 kicks over 64 yards, and in the history of the NFL, there's only 4 of those kicks in existence. Actually, I should say 5. There was one in preseason, but that one doesn't count. Lets you know this guy's the real deal. What you know is, if I can get to the 50-yard line, we can take a chance at kicking a field goal. That's a whole lot different than saying we got to get to the 35, as evident of the Cowboys having 25 seconds on the clock and getting the ball in field goal range, him kicking a 64-yard field goal to tie the game up to get the victory. It's unbelievable. Pat McAfee, former punter, now ESPN extraordinaire, had Brandon Aubrey on there, and I want you to hear this interview because I think it's a great piece of work, Pat. Shout out to you.
Football, it's not just like every single professional soccer player could become an NFL kicker. There's leg swings. There's a lot of different technicalities. Obviously, the ball is vastly different, and you just being able to pick that up. I think your wife, if I remember the story, your wife was like, "We can figure this out," and you have. But can you talk to me a little bit about kind of adjusting from the soccer ball to the football? Was it quick for you, or is it still a work in progress?
Yeah, it was quick for me. I've always been a good ball striker. I'd always go to the field, just practice free kicks constantly. Took penalties throughout my career at Notre Dame. So I always just enjoyed scoring goals. Kind of stopped enjoying playing soccer when I got switched to center back and didn't work as hard as I need to stay with the best of the best at the professional level. So kind of washed out of it pretty quick. But I think it was a natural transition for me going from football to soccer. Obviously, the timing is a big thing. The pressure is a big thing to get used to. And just there's no ability to correct your mistakes when you make one. So just being able to go out there and know you're going to miss and occasionally and be okay with that. But also try and get your job done as many times as possible.
Yeah, for you, missing, not real. That's not real, which is awesome. You're going to continue to do as such. And I like your mentality of, just got to go get the next one if you miss it. I was a soccer player, obviously, growing up, known for having a strong leg. I played striker, enjoyed scoring goals. And then when we got to the higher levels, they moved me to middle back as well.
Kickers having combos here.
Yep, exactly. That is right. Yeah, that is exactly the case. But you said something about if you miss, you just have to sit there. That was my big adjustment. It was like if I had a bad touch or something on this, some days, at least I could give effort. Like, okay, I'm gonna press. Yeah. I'm gonna give maximum effort. When it comes to kicking, it's like, no, you ain't out efforting this thing. You're taking 3 steps, and you're either getting your ass booed or you are getting cheered, and then you're gonna go stand on the sideline. You become a Dallas Cowboy your first trip here, and obviously all eyes are on the Dallas Cowboys all the time. The highest valued organization in sports history. Obviously, there's a documentary about the beginnings and the origins. It's an insane place, I assume, to work. But for you, it's just the only thing you know. After you start hitting kicks, you worked your entire life in soccer. After you start hitting kicks, boom, boom, boom. All of a sudden, I assume everybody knows you as kicking guy. You are the kicker. When did you know that this was your calling? Was it like during the workouts before the season started? Was it in the middle of the season? Did you hit a kick your first year and it was like,
yeah,
100,000 people just went crazy for me. I can do this. Yeah, this is what it is. Was there a moment that's like, hey, this feels like this is what all of that was for, was to get to here? Did you have that moment?
Yeah, I'd say it didn't even click that way until this year. Finally feel like I belong and I'm on the field. I feel comfortable on the field. As a kicker, that's hard to do because you're going kick to kick pretty much your entire career. You see guys get replaced after having 3 or 4 or 5 even great years, just after a couple bad games. Sometimes even if you're lucky, you get a full season of rope, but not much leeway.
There's not much leeway for a kicker.
You always feel like you have to make each and every kick on every single game. So I wouldn't say I feel super comfortable yet, but I'm starting to feel more relaxed going on the field, and I feel like now when I go to kick a ball, I expect it to go in, which is a good feeling. So there's no more nerves really going out there.
That's a hilarious mindset. So my first year punting, I didn't really know how to punt. So I'd hit a bomb.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "What happened?" Like,
What
"Oh,
happened?
sure."
I don't know.
Then I'd hit a miss. They'd be like,
I don't
"What
know.
happened?" I'm not sure.
No.
It all felt the same. I'm not 100% sure
Yeah.
what it was. And then as you get more comfortable, just wait. I'm excited for you to experience what it's going to be like whenever you get there, like after this season, probably, or next year. It's such a much more enjoyable experience because everything you're saying right now is exactly how Adam Vinatieri viewed it, I think, for most of his career. It's like every kick during practice, he could get cut.
Yes.
Because that's real.
Yep.
Like he missed in practice. He thought he was going to get cut. That's how Adam Vinatieri viewed all of it. So it's just a never-ending chase of perfection, and you've been damn near that. Let's talk about this past weekend, yesterday. Obviously, the 64-yarder, absolutely insane. Different ball flight than you normally hit. Why was that, you think? Did you try it, or is this a new kick for you?
No, that's just a little power fade. I was just trying to add a little bit more to it. And kind of came off my foot a little funky, and it had that little slide, and got nervous for a second, but then it corrected itself and got back on its path. I don't really try to do it, but when we get back there, I've started to notice I do take that little hitch step to give myself a little bit more behind the ball. You can see it there, but I don't try to do it. I'm more of a field kicker. I don't watch a whole lot of film of myself. If you pay attention closely, not any single kick is exactly the same for me as the last one. There's a lot of times, especially early in the season, where my soccer form takes back over and I kind of land on my kicking foot, and those are the ones I try to get away from because those are bad. But they tend to still go in. I don't know. I try to keep it as similar as possible, but you see rush coming out of your peripherals, then you try to get off your plant foot real quick and it makes your form look funky. So as long as it's going in, I'm happy, and I'm trying not to be too robotic, but try to get myself in the same position every time and make it kick.
You're a ball striker, dude. Sebastian Janikowski was very similar. He literally just took like 2.5 steps back. Oh, that looked good. You know, that was how he did it for his entire career. That was his entire career. Many other kickers, you and I both know, and I assume they're like, need to be this exact distance away, need to take this exact step. And it kind of removes the, I don't want to say athlete, but the comfort of ball striking as a whole, I think, for ex-soccer players. I personally, I believe that. So I appreciate that that's your mindset. Like, they're not all going to look the exact same, but we're trying to get right through that, right? Yeah. Okay.
And you don't want to be back in your steps right before you kick and be like, wow, I missed my spot by like half an inch. How do I have to recover from this? You just want to turn your brain off and kick the freaking ball. That's what you do at the end of the day.
You do it very well. D-Bud has a question for you, Brandon.
Yeah, we got some adjustments with the K-balls. Pat has talked kind of in-depth about the K-balls and the difference of them being broken in this year. You've been money regardless of
Oh,
what type of
shit,
ball
they're
you've been
breaking them in.
kicking, but have you felt any difference? And what, I guess, number do you feel comfortable attempting in the game?
Okay, so let me clarify something here. So what it used to be, he says K-ball, they're talking about kicking balls, because the kicking balls, they'd have in a separate locker right there, and they're only used. It's like a brand new football. And you probably are saying, okay, so what does that mean? Well, the brand new footballs, they're really stiff, and they've got like a resin almost on it, okay? And what you'll see is like quarterbacks and stuff, you know, they like to get a football that has been a little bit worn. It's easier to grip because it's, you know, if you've got a football at your house, you know, like this one has been here for a while and I'm always holding on to it. You know, you get the natural oils and resins and things on here, and it's easier to grip. When you get a new football, brand new from the, you know, Stitch Factory and stuff there, it's got a little bit of a slickness into it, and sometimes the ball can kick and will, you know, slide off your toe. So now they can actually scuff up a football, and they will. Sometimes you used to have guys that would take footballs home with them that night. You know, they're in the driveway scratching them and things like that to basically give yourself a little extra grip on it. So I didn't realize they changed the rule on that.
With the new K-balls, not a whole lot new for us. We have great equipment staff, and they've been they usually have 30 minutes with the balls, and they would just spend the entire time on our first ball, making sure it was pristine. And then if we went to ball 2 or 3, good luck. But now we get to practice with with those balls before the game, so we kind of know what they feel like and know what shape they are, which really helps the punting and kicking game. I think it's a great change. Why put in rules that are going to kind of limit the excitement of the game? So you got guys banging away from deeper. I don't really know my distance. I feel like in practice and in warm-ups for games, I go back to like 60 is the farthest I'll go, and it goes through by a yard or two, but then it comes in game time and all that adrenaline going through me. I get like 5 or 6 extra yards, sometimes like 7 or 8. Looked like that ball today would have been, or yesterday would have been good from like 72 or 73. I'm not entirely sure.
I'm not a scientist, but I watched that thing fly through pretty comfortably after the swing. You said you hit a little power fade there, and then you said it starts to slide a little bit. You are trying to drive that a little bit more from back there?
I know I need to bring a little bit more to the table. So I'm just turning my brain off and saying, I need more distance. Kick it harder.
I can't believe I'm doing a segment on kickers.
Let the body figure it out. And once again, that's why the entire soccer run was for a purpose. You know, and now we're out there doing it for the Dallas Cowboys in the biggest moments. I think first player in NFL history to hit a walk-off game tire at 0, and then also walk-off game winner at 0 of overtime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, so
That's
obviously
crazy.
overtime games very rarely make it all the way to 0 at the end. That could have been a tie
4
yesterday.
punts.
Yeah. What's that?
We had 4 punts in overtime. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was a pretty
Crazy game.
a turnover. It was a pretty cagey affair.
It was a cagey affair.
You guys got into a pretty cagey affair there, and obviously, congrats on that. And the Giants fans just say this is life. Ain't that right, Bruce?
That's right. Another loss in the loss column. That's life.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Sorry
Brandon.
about it.
All right, we'll go ahead and end it right there. Okay, it's crazy that I'm sitting here doing a video about a kicker, but we've got one right now that is unbelievable. When we had Money Maher, who could hit some of the long ones, but then was bottom line is this: a football team wins as a team. You can't give Dak Prescott all the credit, and you can't give him all the blame. Without the offensive line giving him time, without the receivers catching the football, without the runners being able to run, without the defense making plays when they need to, you cannot win. One person cannot deem you a winner or loser by themselves. Aubrey, he made that kick. But he didn't make that kick by himself. He had 10 guys there making sure that he had the time and the space to make that kick. Aubrey doesn't make that kick if the Cowboys don't get down there in field position. And the Cowboys don't have the opportunity to get down there and make that kick unless Donovan Wilson, who seemingly was out of position all game, makes the interception. And that's what you have to understand about football is there's so many moving parts that if one of those things doesn't happen, if they don't get 25 seconds and have 3 timeouts, if they don't have the blocking that Cooper Beebe takes out 3 guys in one play to give Dak enough time to hit CeeDee Lamb, if CeeDee Lamb doesn't hold on to the football, all of these things have to line up to get a victory. And that's the great thing about football. And you can't equate it down to just one person. Now, one person can destroy a play, but it takes all 11 to make that play succeed. All righty, good people, as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And it's going to be an interesting day. I still hear the jackhammer out there, so I probably still have water at the moment. I'm trying to think ahead. See, as I say in Boy Scouts, be prepared. I got some buckets with some water put in, so that way I can top off the toilet if we have to. As always, I appreciate y'all, and I will see you soon.
What? Why did we get a wide receiver? Why did we get a wide receiver? Yes,